All right, I'd like to call the Board of Public Works Committee, Clerk Kramer, write down the start time, please, and call to order, please. Roll call, please.
Alderman Langdon.
Here.
Alderman Schmidt. Here. Alderman Tom Grady.
Here.
Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Rapella. Here. Alderman Nichols. Here. Alderman Taylor. Here. Alderman Sevenick. Here. All are present.
Thank you. Letter C, the minutes to approve for the Board of Public Works from 9/7/21. Alderman Taylor.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Public Works from 9/7/21.
Thank you. Got a motion by Alderman Taylor, second by Alderman Tom Grady. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nay. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Tonight, we have 3 discussion/action items. Do I have a motion for the first one? Alderman Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to approve payment Quality Roofing, Inc., Contract Unit 2021-07, Public Works, Public Protection Facility, roof replacement in the amount of $194,979, payment number 1 and final.
Motion by Alderman Taylor, second by Alderman Tom Grady. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Clerk Kramer.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for number 2? Alderman Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion for the payment of Northeast Asphalt, Inc., Contract Unit Number 2021-10, Street Construction and Rehabilitation in the amount of $225,870.86, payment number 4.
Thank you. Motion by Alderman Taylor, second by Alderman Tom Grady. Any discussion? Seeing none, Clerk Kramer, roll call, please.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for number 3?
We're going to listen to Laura first. We hear from Laura first.
Yeah. So we are going to listen to Department Head first. Laura?
Thank you, Alderman. I am actually going to defer to Deputy Director Gordon. He has been working with Northeast Asphalt and managing the street reconstruction project. So he has been the one in contact with them, and I'm going to let him talk this over. Thank you.
Thank you. So what we have, currently in the budget, we budgeted for Plank Road at $20,000. This would take care of the area kind of by Manor Fields and the laundromat up to the tracks. Based on some conversation last meeting, or a couple meetings ago, excuse me, there was some discussion about doing some additional work on Racine Street. So what we did here is we got some prices from Northeast to come in, mill and overlay, similar to what they did on Racine Street a year ago. So there's kind of 3 options out there to choose from. You could, I can answer questions on any of them, but basically you could choose any one of them or a combination of or none of them. At this point, like I said, currently in the budget, the only thing that's there is Plank Road in the budget. So.
Thank you. Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Chair. There's no doubt that Plank Road needs to be done. Boy, you go down that road and feel like you're riding a horse. So regardless, that would need to be done. But I see what they're trying to do here. One way we can save money, $3,000, is then to possibly do maybe one of the other options. But I called Laura today, and we talked about this. There's a very good possibility this won't even be done this year with the milling. I don't know if you got any, I asked if you could find out if there
Yep.
was, because the time schedule for them is so tight.
So
That-
currently, sorry for interrupting.
No, that's all right.
Currently, we've struggled with them a little bit this year just because all of a sudden there seems to be a lot of DOT work out there.
Right.
And they're trying to get that stuff done. There's a lot of really strict timeframes and things to that type of work. Municipal work tends to be a little more open. They're telling me that they're going to try and get this done this year, but they have no guarantees. My gut feeling would tell me that this wouldn't be until next year. I can't, it's just my gut feeling.
Right, and I
know.
feel the same way because I know that, for instance, in my neighborhood, around Jefferson Street and A Street, it looks like those projects won't be completed until November. And you know what November can be like, we could have snow. So-
Yeah, so to build onto your statement, part of their quote was, temperatures, I believe it was 50 degrees. Anything below 50 degrees, they're saying they won't warranty it
And then after
if we choose that.
tonight, the next week, the nighttime temperatures are supposed to be between 50 and 40.
Yep.
So, my feeling, and I'm just gonna throw it out there after talking with Laura, is that, obviously we wanna get these done. I don't think even Plank Road's gonna be done this year. If we could get a guarantee that we would, do a contract with them, if they would do all streets, 1, 2, and 3, if they would promise to do them in the spring, then I would be in favor of doing 1, 2, and 3.
I believe they probably would give us some
And by doing that-
assurance earlier in the year.
You should be saving about $6,000 because you're not bringing the mobilization fee, you're only being charged once, not 3 times.
So the other thing, part of that, Alderman Sevenick, there
Okay.
would be a little bit of savings with the quantities.
Okay.
And it's not reflected in these numbers, just because it's hard to break it out. If you pick one and not the other, then the savings go away and things of that nature. So if you were to choose that, there would be potentially some additional savings there. The one thing that I do want to point out, though, is with Racine Street, that is scheduled for 2025, and there is utility work scheduled for 2024, ahead of the DOT work in 2025. So whatever we would do on Racine Street, we're looking
realize
at it
that.
as being a 2-year.
I realize that, but it's in a state of denial. I mean, it's awful. It's just awful. It's the gateway to the city. And 2 years might seem like not a long time, but 2 years more on a road that's already falling apart. And then trying to plow that, and then getting the melt of the snow and it breaking up even more. I still think that we should do all 3 in the spring if we can do that. If they could guarantee they would come in the spring, and then we can also get additional savings, that's a win-win, because I don't see temperatures changing real soon. So that would be my recommendation, that we do option 1, option 2, and option 3, and do those first thing in the spring. That's my motion.
Have a motion by Alderman Sevenick, second by Alderman Tom Grady. Any discussion? Alderman Taylor.
Well, if we can't get it done this fall, why not get it done this fall,
It's not going to be done.
But we don't know that,
And if we even delay it longer, James, it's just another 4 more weeks, and it's just not gonna happen.
We would try, Alderman Taylor. Once we give them the go-ahead, when it's final approve at council and stuff, and we give them the go-ahead, obviously, we're gonna try, but just, understand that it's not guaranteed. I can't guarantee you that because that's what they're telling me, so.
And I don't believe we're willing to risk the non-warranty either, correct?
In
From,
October,
so it would be weather
the next
dependent.
meeting, yeah.
So it would be 2 years before the construction, the utility construction, is that correct? 2 years before the utility construction?
Correct. So Racine Street is scheduled for reconstruction in the summer of 2025. Because it's a DOT project, we would look to do something similar to what we did with Broad Street a couple of years ago, where we would do the utility work
Yep.
the year in advance. The same would hold true with Plank Road. Plank Road is currently scheduled with the DOT to be reconstructed in 2027. So we would look to do some utility work in 2026.
So then we're going to tear up this new overlay that we're putting on for the utility. We'll have a lot of interruptions throughout the.
Correct, correct. You know, there's not a good way on Racine Street. If there was a good way to make it narrower and extend that and save dollars, I would try to do that. Unfortunately, that joint that's raveling, that I think where a lot of the concerns come in, it's 12 and a half-ish feet off of the center line, so you have to get at least that wide. So, Plank Road, I don't remember exactly how wide we were shooting for on Plank Road, but I know Racine Street, that joint that kind of separates the unofficial 2 lanes of traffic is kind of the thing that makes it difficult. If we don't fix that, you're not really fixing anything.
Right, that's in really bad shape. I was thinking about if we didn't do this, that if we could at least crack seal it, if the council didn't want to go with the replacement. I guess here in Menasha, we spoil ourselves because we do such a excellent job, the Department of Public Works, in keeping our streets in such fine condition. When we get the bumps in the road, if you will, they irritate us a lot more than other cities that have, where a lot of roads are in very poor condition. And Alderman Sevenick knows what I'm talking about because he always makes references, but I won't say the name of the city. But so because Menasha has such a comprehensive public works road replacement program, when things like this happen, it just stands out a lot more to us rather than being in some other city where it's just a status quo. So, well, I just didn't want us to lock us into the spring. If we can get it done this fall, let's do it this fall too. So, thank you.
Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Chair Langdon. Deputy Director Gordon, would Plank Road still be completed this year?
I think both of them would be up in the air, as far as completion this year.
Okay,
Or either option
But
is
Plank-
what is being indicated to me, yes.
okay. Plank Road was budgeted for and part of a contract with them, correct?
It is not part of the contract.
Okay,
It was budgeted for, to do it, and we're looking to add that or not add that, how do we want to handle that?
okay,
The other option to put out there would be, and I know this confuses the matter, is you could choose to do more on Plank Road. Rather than do so much on Racine, or we budget more for next year and do additional work on Plank Road, if you want to.
okay.
That's up to you guys.
And if this work were to, if it were to be completed this fall, you mentioned that Plank Road was budgeted for, but the Racine Street funding, would that be paid for with borrowed money then?
I don't think that it would be the best interest to borrow money for 2 years. So the
I
intent
agree.
would be to try and cover it through some general fund money within the street budget, would be the intent.
Okay, so we do we have a plan then, or do we have a plan then about how we would pay for these options if they went forward?
Plank Road would be covered. And I believe with some money in the general fund, because we didn't do a portion of Nicolay Boulevard this year, I believe we would be able to cover that additional cost, yes.
Okay. I really agree that Plank Road is in rough shape and something needs to be done with Plank Road. I drive Racine Street almost every day, at least a few times a week anyway. And the sections that we're talking about, in my opinion, really aren't. I mean, they're in rough shape, but we have streets in this city that are in far rougher shape than those two blocks. And to spend $50,000 to $51,000 on a street that's going to be ripped up again in 2 years, to me is not a good investment, nor is it the highest and best use of $50,000. So I can support moving ahead with Plank Road as it was budgeted, if that gets done this fall or next year. That is okay with me because I think the warranty is important and we need to have that. But I'm not willing to invest $51,000 in a street that's going to be tore up in 2024. Thank you.
Alderman Sevenick?
Again, I can't emphasize enough the savings of a mobilization fee of $3,000, $3,000, and $3,000. Don't get me wrong, if we can do it in fall, let's do it in fall. All for that, but it's not going to happen, because here's another reason. This is going to be going to the Common Council, which is in October. Now we're in October. It's too late in the game. So what I'm saying is, okay, we realize that, let's combine this, save dollars, and when you do all three too, we're probably gonna get a better price. And to me, it is a better investment to do it this way because we're saving dollars. And yes, there are a lot of different streets that need work, but we are also now talking about two of the most traveled streets in our community, Plank Road and Racine.
Alderman Nichols?
Thank you. I don't know if it makes a difference, but it just occurred to me with a bridge closure happening next week, that'll be closed for the entire year. Do we really want to add traffic issues by ripping up Racine Street?
They're not ripping it up.
Well, a mill and overlay. It does require closures, and add to the traffic problems that will already be present and frustrations in 2022, when the street will be ripped up again in 2024.
Alderman Taylor?
I'd rather have a clean break and get this done so our crews out there during that heavy traffic volume when the bridge is closed. And it's unfortunate that all these projects aren't closer together. Racine Street just kept getting pushed out. I thought it was going to be 2018 at one time, and so things just aren't in our ability to set the time on this, but we need to make the most of it. And the grinding and blacktopping doesn't take long at all.
Any further discussion? I would just like to add that also, this has to come back to council, and that'll be in October. And So then we're asking Deputy Director Gordon to, promise us that these are going to get done this year, because that's how we're voting. And he does not know where those machines are, if those owners want to come here. We're just getting, I'm with it. We are getting too late in the game. And the weather, if you're following the weather at night, it's getting extremely cold. And so I'm not in favor of doing this year. Thank you. And so, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. Clerk Kramer, roll call, please.
Could she read the motion, please?
The motion is on the screen, but basically in summary, it is accepting all three options to move forward in the spring of 2022 to complete the the mill and overlay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-1.
And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Alderman Taylor, motion to adjourn, seconded by Alderman Tom Grady. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nay. We're adjourned. Thank you.